have an idea in your mind of something you want, and you deserve to get it. So how do you get there? Well, welcome to the Idea Space, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome frustration and make what you want a reality. I'm your host, Jen Liddy, high school teacher turned entrepreneur. Now I'm a business development coach. It's my mission to help women bring their ideas to life and get what they want without feeling guilty, selfish, overwhelmed, or lost. Every week, I share topics, tools, and strategies to help you move toward that thing you want. Create time and energy to do the things you love, get clarity on what you really want and how to get there, and most importantly, stop feeling alone with your challenges. Whether you've wanted to create a better business, job, relationship, hobby, or self, I know there's something more that you want, and it's time you were able to get it with confidence and clarity. Ready to have it? Let's go. Hi, welcome to the Idea Space podcast. I'm your host, Jen Liddy, and this is a place where you can learn how to make space for all the ideas brewing inside you and take away strategies to make them real. Now, as of today, we have finished the first month of 2020. And if you've been following along, you know I've been struggling to find my mojo this month. And I've been thinking about what success looks like for me, what it really takes to be successful, no matter what your definition of success is. So what are the qualities that make someone a success? Because it's less about what we do and more about who we are. Who we are pushes us to do things. And I have noticed that successful people have the quality of courage. And for most of my life, I thought courageous people were a different breed than me. I never saw myself as courageous. To me, courageous people were those people who do scary, hard things like Navy SEALs or first responders, people with illnesses or challenges who persevere and keep going on even though things are really hard. I saw courageous people who do really badass shit outside of the realm of possibility for me. I did not see myself as someone who did hard things. So about 10 years ago, a friend of mine who was my boss at the time heard me say I was scared to do something necessary to move myself to the next level in my profession. And I told her I wanted to do it. And then I went on to describe in detail how terrified and filled with self-doubt I was. I outlined all the possible ways that I could fail and what that would mean. And while I was talking, she had stopped looking at me. I kind of thought she was just done with our conversation, but she took out a piece of her stationery and wrote something on it, then slid it across her desk to me. And it said, "Without fear, there cannot be courage." And in that moment, I thought, huh? I was literally just confused because I thought, this isn't right. Courage is for people who are not afraid. It's for people who are ready to do scary shit. And I continued to think that I'm just not courageous. She could tell by the look on my face that I just did not get the depth of this little quotation on her little note. And she said, you don't have to get over the fear before you do the thing. You do the thing even though you're afraid. And I looked at her kind of quizzically and I was like, so you're saying that all these people who do all these things, they are afraid? And she smiled at me and she said, abso-freaking-lutely. So this moment was long before I had started studying mindset, psychology, how the brain works. I just really hadn't started my personal development journey. And it was one of the first times I remember hearing or really understanding that I had the power to do something hard, even if I was afraid. I mean, even though this is literally the entire plot of The Wizard of Oz, that we have it within ourselves to do things even though we're afraid, I just never applied this to my own experiences, so consider my mind blown. I drove home that night and I thought about all the places in my life where I'd already done scary things, even though I was afraid at the time. I think about when I went to college at 18. I went to college 8 hours from home, even though no one in my family had ever gone to college before. I didn't quite believe I was smart enough to get into college, much less get through college. And I swear I had this thought the entire 8-hour drive from Long Island to Fredonia, which is across New York State. I was terrified the whole time. Yes, I was excited to get away from my family and try new things, but mostly I was really terrified. But I went and I'd done that, right? So there was some evidence that I'd had courage. And once I started thinking about some of the things I'd already done that took courage, the mental list just started flowing. I started to think about the toxic relationships that I had released myself from, the leaps I'd made in my professional life and in my personal life, the hard conversations I'd had, or the moves to new cities that I'd made. I had taken chances to try something new many times. And I will tell you, I wasn't a Navy SEAL. I'm not a first responder. In fact, I say I'm the worst responder. And, I really never saw myself as somebody who had courage, but that didn't mean I didn't have courage. And so I want to ask you, where have you already been courageous? Where have you been scared to do the thing, big or small, but you did it anyway? I promise you that you have already done courageous things. And so I want you to think about what's the next thing that you need to tackle in order to get to the next place you want to go in your life or business. I personally still have work to do in this arena. I realize that I have confused courage and determination with something that's not so good: overworking, grinding, hustling. And about 2 years ago, a trusted colleague and friend of mine said with a lot of admiration, "I don't know anyone who works harder than Jen Liddy." And I will tell you, I positively beamed with pride because I was like, yes, I made it. I was a success and people noticed how hard I worked and it's paid off. And over the years, I've seen a diminishing return on success, but I kept grinding and overworking and maybe even hustling, and I got tired. And my business coach, Patty, kept telling me that hard work was not the way through this, that I had to make space in my life, space for fun and freedom and play. But I had worked hard my whole life. It was part of who I am, it was part of the identity that I wore. And frankly, I was really terrified to lose that piece of myself because what would it mean that I would lose my success if I kind of stopped the grinding, stopped the overworking? Would I lose my identity? And this is where the courage came into play for me. I had to find the courage to stop grinding and overworking to make space. And I will be honest with you, I have been terrified to do it. So over the past couple of years, I've been focusing on scaling back, but it took courage. And recently, about 2 weeks ago, this same friend said to me, we were having a conversation about where our businesses were going, and she said, "You work way harder than I do." And I said, "Thank you." And then I realized she wasn't saying it as a compliment. She was saying, "I see that you're still working too hard and you don't have to keep up that pace." And it was humbling, but it was another great moment for me to see myself more clearly, another growth opportunity, right? And so I still have work to do around this idea of letting go, of playing more, of stopping, of just being a human being, not a human doing. And for me, that takes courage to let in ease. And I know this probably sounds ridiculous, but it's really hard for me to think that success could be easy. I have evidence that the more I practice that thought and do that work, the work of allowing in for ease, the better, happier, and more successful I become. So I'm asking you, what do you need the courage to do? Maybe, unlike me, what you need is to put your nose down in your computer and work a little bit more consistently, like write that damn book you've been wanting to write. Or just start the Instagram page for your business, the one that you've been afraid to do because you don't want to be seen. Or maybe you need the courage to back away from a toxic friendship because it depletes you, but you're afraid to hurt that person's feelings, so you need courage. I want you to remember that courage is personal and it doesn't look the same for everyone. Maybe it took you a lot of courage to pick up the phone and ask for an interview you wanted to do for your podcast. Or maybe it took a lot of courage to say no to your partner, either your life partner or your business partner, for something that you didn't really believe in. Or it even took all your courage to just go into that yoga class by yourself or that networking event by yourself. Please don't judge what makes you courageous. It doesn't look the same for each of us. What's courageous for me and what's courageous for you are very different. Carrie Fisher has a great quote that I think will really help you remember this lesson. She said, "Stay afraid, but do it anyway. What's important is the action. You don't have to wait to be confident. Just do it, and eventually the confidence will follow." And so this week, I encourage you to take one courageous step forward, to be afraid and do it anyway. Now, in February, I'm offering a free training. I'm offering one each month. And this month, it's about how to create and how to make real your courageous goals. And if you've had a list of goals for a long time, but you haven't been able to activate them, then this is the training for you. If you go to my website, www.jenliddy.com, you can register for the free training there, Courageous Goals. Now, I don't offer a sales pitch in these trainings. These are just service trainings. It's a way for me to do what I love, which is to teach and give back to my community, the people who are on my email list, who listen to my podcast, and who show up and want to learn. So I appreciate that you've listened all the way through. I will meet you back here next week. And again, what is the one courageous thing you can do this week? See you then. Bye.
Thanks for joining me today. You can access more free tools and video trainings at www.jenliddy.com/free-sources. That's FREE sources. If you found this podcast helpful, I'd be so grateful if you subscribed and gave a review. And if you have a friend who'd benefit from today's topic, tool, or strategy, please share the Idea Space podcast with her. That way, together, we can help more women achieve their dreams and take action on their ideas. Isn't it time we all were able to get what we want? Join me next week, and remember, right now, all you need to do to make your idea a reality is take the very next step you know how to. Bye!